Watch Who?
Hello.
And welcome to To Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
And we are celebrating 20 years of Doctor Who today.
I know, cray.
Oh, what's that there?
Sorry, cray.
What is that?
I've had the Kardashians on in the background today. I've been working. Maybe that's what it's like.
There's a thing up there. There's a thing. It's coming towards us. Run!
Coming in.
Okay, that didn't really work, did it? Oh no, here we are. Oh no, we're in the death zone.
Oh no. We're in the depths.
No, I tried. Anyway, get your party poppers out. It's the Five Doctors.
Hey.
Yay! The story that I have watched probably the most ever.
I can imagine so, yeah.
And therefore I haven't taken any notes at all because I obviously know it so well.
I messaged you which version I watched. Which one did I watch?
I knew you were going to. I knew it.
I didn't know, it wasn't, I knew, so I went round to watch it at my friend's house. They have the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I know.
And they wanted me to watch it with them when it got here, so.
And I almost messaged to be like, make sure you watch the original version. And then you were like, I'm watching the 40th anniversary edition. I was like, yeah, that's the new Blu-ray version. I knew you would. But it doesn't matter. You've watched the most up-to-date version.
Which, I mean, to some extent, isn't the end of the world? Or are you a bit more like you should have watched? I mean, for me, it made it a very enjoyable experience. My friend that I watched it with has watched it loads, and he was like, oh, he hadn't seen that version either. And he was like, oh, it's nice to see that effect and that effect. So, I kind of was told what had changed or what was different because he'd watched it so much. So
yeah, I think a lot of fans have watched this one so many times, and it's been released. It's had 3 video releases, loads of DVD releases. So there was already a special edition.
He said he was reading them all to me, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, you choose which one we watch. He went, oh, let's just go for the newest one then.
So the cool special edition one was the one that I got at my King's Demons birthday party.
Oh, of course you did.
But I also have here one of my first videos. This is the original version. This very
unabridged version, it says.
Unabridged, yeah. This very VHS. This is the one that got confiscated in primary school when Ross and Luke were arguing over it, and this went in Miss Hardison's desk drawer for a week because I was lending it out to them, and I don't know, they just started fighting about it, and yeah, it ended up in her drawer. This very
VHS in front of me now. Yeah,
there it is. One of the really early ones that I got, so I've kept that one. Oh, also, while we're recording, while we're celebrating, do you know what today is? The day of our recording. It's Annika Will's birthday. So happy birthday, Annika Wills. We had to say that.
Do you know what? I kept saying throughout, because also I didn't know who was going to come back, and I was like, if Polly comes back, I'll be pissed.
I think a lot of people know the story of this, so we don't need to go sort of story-wise. I thought, because it's the 5 Doctors, maybe we could talk doctor by doctor and what they do and who they meet and go through in that order.
Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest. I mean, the story's the story, isn't it? It's almost not even about the story.
No, it's quite a simple thing. So, let's start with the first doctor.
Although I will say this, I really enjoyed this role of the Master in this story.
You love the Master.
Isn't much, but I like that. He's trying to get different versions of the Doctor to convince him that he's. Yeah, I quite liked that.
I'm still surprised that you like the Master so much.
I know, me too.
Especially
I just think
one.
It's such a great conquest, and there's so much in common, and yet there's so much that separates them. And I don't know, it's just such a great idea of a character, something that's so similar, yet it's like your alter ego, so similar yet so different, so much in common. I'm a big Master fan, you know that. Well,
we've got, obviously, he had to be part of this celebration. But we're starting off then with the first Doctor. Now, obviously, William Hartnell has passed away by now. And we have our stand-in Doctor.
What are you young people doing inside my TARDIS?
It's his TARDIS.
And who might he be?
The Doctor.
I'll say this, and I don't know whether it's just the version I watched, but I thought the way he sounded and talked was spot on.
This was one of the, when I got this on video, I don't think I'd probably maybe seen like the first episode. So I sort of saw this first Doctor more than the actual first Doctor. I don't think he's 100%. I think he's playing a character. He's quite.
No, I think like some of like the choices in acting are, but like if I closed my eyes, he was definitely the first Doctor. Like he had the same like choice of the way that Doctor would talk and his speech pattern. That's what I'm trying to say. Was like pretty spot on. I thought.
No,
you disagree, do you?
I don't know. He's not. I don't know. He's the best. You can watch it, and he's the first Doctor. It's fine. He doesn't completely take it out, but he's okay. He's all right. He's a bit more angry, I think, than actual William Hartnell is. He's almost a little bit of a caricature, because when you think of the first Doctor, people say, "Oh, he's the angry one," but actually, we know for watching it through, he's not actually that. He gets angry. He has those moments, but he's not all the time. He's not grumpy all the time.
But I didn't think he was all grumpy throughout this, actually. I liked that he was the one that like knew what different plans, and he sort of has a bit of fun with that. I thought it was very good. I thought it was a strong likeness, like in terms of style. I mean, look, you are impersonating someone playing a character. You're not making your own version of the character, and you're not impersonating a person. You're impersonating someone who is acting. It's a caricature in itself anyway.
Actually, the original outline for this, they were going to call it the Six Doctors. And it was going to be, and the reason for that was that the first Doctor would have turned out to be like an android.
Oh.
For whatever reason. I don't know, completely different story. So you'd have like an extra fake Doctor, like Robot Doctor. Literally Robot Doctor.
Yeah.
So maybe that would have worked better, and then that would have explained why he wasn't completely 100%. I don't know. I do like that idea. But we get the Doctor, and we get Susan.
Yeah, that was nice, actually.
I mean, it
was nice. When Sarah Jane falls down that hill, it's the most pathetic thing. Like, I laughed a lot at that. And then later on, Susan falls out of just nowhere. And, like, the falls were just a bit silly and pathetic.
But I suppose the Susan falling over is homage to the 60s where everyone fell over.
For sure. Yeah.
But
that's what that is.
They could have put a rock or something. It's like the tiniest little bit of like weed.
It's like, but I mean, I'm really jumping now, but Sarah Jane's she falls, right? It's nothing. And then like he's dragging her up with the car. And I was like, it's just like, she could just walk up that. Like it's nothing. It's literally nothing. And she's been dragged up a tiny little slope. I don't know. For some reason, her just being dragged by the car really made me laugh.
Yeah, that is the worst.
It's so ridiculous. It's just so unnecessary. That whole like introduction of them is so unnecessary compared to like how the other ones are. I don't know.
But going back, so we see the first Doctor, and then this whole taken out of time thing, and you've got the model of the first Doctor.
So I thought actually initially, so I said to my friend, he was like, "Who do you think's behind it?" And I went, "I thought the Master was behind it because they had the models."
Oh, that makes sense for the miniaturization.
Yeah. I thought, oh my gosh, are they being miniaturized? And this is the Master, and he's playing with them. That's what I thought. And then we see the Master, and you see what's going on. And for a while, I was like, I wonder if like. But then when you see him going in and trying to talk to him, you're like, no, he is like, it's not him, you know. But I did think that initially.
And so with the first Doctor, he's got the Dalek bit, which I suppose is supposed to be a bit like on Skaro with the first episode with it's not exactly as it is, and obviously we've got older Susan. Last saw her on Earth getting married off, so but
exactly.
There's no chat about that. There's not really any there's not any time for character in this.
It's not about that though, is it? It's just this is just like for fans of the show getting to see all these characters come back.
And obviously Susan is now older with some 80s makeup and a trench coat for whatever reason. I suppose that's where whatever. The cool bit though with the Dalek, you see when it explodes and everything.
That was really cool. And again, I don't know if that was an effect or stuff. My friend said he didn't think it was, but like the thing inside being like that was cool. Yeah,
that was at the time. That's in the original one. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then, the worst bit though. So you've got with the first Doctor and Susan walking along, and they eventually meet up with the fifth Doctor. But when he's walking along, and it's like, I mean, they're in Wales, aren't they? They're in freezing cold Wales.
Someone said Snowdonia.
It's like in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure where, but they're walking along. You can see for miles, and then he sits on that rock, and Susan's like, "Come and see," and he literally stands up, and there's the TARDIS. He's like, "Wow, the TARDIS!" It's like you must have seen it from the distance for miles.
Yeah.
It's not very well shot, that. And then getting the first Doctor to meet up with the fifth Doctor. Obviously, those two got to meet first. So, like, the oldest to the newest. There's a little bit of friction there with Tegan.
Yeah, but again, I quite liked how they fit that in because we've talked about it at the time. Like, we've talked about those things. So it did fit in with, like, the arc of time.
Because he sends off Tegan to make the tea and stuff, and then Turlough ends up going as well, and she's like, hang on a minute. Like, I've watched this so much, I could like say every line.
So, of course you have, yeah.
But yeah, it's that sort of clash of the old and the new, and actually putting him then with Tegan later on. Those two characters actually they do go quite well together.
They do, yeah.
And then the second Doctor we see,
Brigadier, I think our past is catching up on us. Or maybe it's our future.
Who's just brilliant. Like, actually, I said this to her. I was like, when we watched, I was like, I still think he's my favourite so far.
he hasn't changed a bit.
Not at all. His acting's just as strong. He knows that character. It's fun. It reminded me of why after... I mean, however much you can love the first Doctor, but his decline in that last few seasons, how fresh that all felt. And even next to all the others, like, he's so different. And there's so many choices he makes as an actor that are just so strong.
I mean, he was back for the 10th anniversary for the Three Doctors. He's back again. It's so effortless. And he's teamed up with the Brigadier, we've seen recently, so that's nice to see him again. And then they're quickly whisked off. So they spend a lot of time together. They don't really... What do they do? Oh, well, they meet the Yeti in the cave, don't they? They go sort of underground.
Do you know what? So I knew it would be the bloody Yeti. I knew it would be the Yeti.
Well, you don't really see much of it. It's done quite well that it's just a claw. It's in the shadows, so it doesn't look too terrible. It actually looks really good. All the filming and all that cave stuff looks brilliant. All the slate and everything like that. And then, well, Third Doctor, I mean, he's all like, John Pertwee is just John Pertwee.
Bring balls of fire!
And he's in Bessie, driving along, of course.
Of course, yeah. And he was always Action Doctor. That's why he has to pull her up from a little slow.
I mean, you've already said, I mean, that has to be just like, I don't know. Why? I mean, you can see it written in the script, isn't it? Because Sarah Jane, she's hung off a lot of cliffs in her time and done more bigger stuff than that.
Well, we watched it with my friend's wife, right? Now, she's watched it on and off. She's not a fan. Like, he's the fan. You know, we watch it. And she said, like, is she always this whiny? And because she challenged Susan on whiny. And we went, no. I was like, no. I was like, he's like, is she like, do people like her? I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, you know, the Sarah Jane Adventures. She's like, oh, yeah, I've got, right, okay. Because, you know, I was like, she's very popular. Like, even I've heard of the Sarah Jane Adventures, you know? She's a very popular character for a reason. I was like, she was like, but I agree, she was so whiny.
I don't think she's written very well in this. Again, it's more just for the appearance. And I mean, we've seen her in K9 and Company recently, so she's got K9 is at the beginning, which is nice to see. But she's in some weird different house there in some street, and she's off to get the bus and everything. And actually, I think Elizabeth Sladen, who plays Sarah Jane, was like not particularly happy with. I think she probably did it because it's a celebration and everyone's doing it. I think she liked to forget the Five Doctors in terms of Sarah Jane's time. Because she was like, she said she came up to, they were filming at the house and she looked at the house and she's like, Sarah Jane wouldn't live here. This is not Sarah Jane's house. This is not how, you know. I think she was a bit disappointed because I think she's quite protective of the character.
Well, she is.
But she's obviously put with the Third Doctor. I mean, also writing this must be difficult because they were trying to find who's available, who's around. You know, they've only got. I think it kept changing, and they didn't know if they got.
Well, Second Doctor does. So we have jumped back a bit step here, but Second Doctor does see
Jamie and Zoe.
Yeah, which was really nice.
Yeah. So, but that thing is, so they were only available one day. That's why they were only there. So they couldn't do. You know, they couldn't do.
But actually, it worked quite well because then when Third Doctor No, Fourth Doctor, Third Doctor, because Fourth Doctor we don't see, does a similar thing, doesn't he? Because they, of course, Third Doctor, because he's Superior Doctor, they, sky finger cross onto it.
Oh, God.
And, of course they do. And he sees Liz Shaw.
Yes.
And
Mike Yates.
And Yates, yeah. And sees Yates. So, again, so it's kind of fitting with that. So it's quite nice, which is why we're going through. I was like, God, I don't want to see Polly. So when it wasn't Polly, I was quite happy.
Yeah, I think Annika Wills is off in another country living in a cult or something at that time.
Course,
not contactable, so she missed all of that. Where were we? Third Doctor, Sarah Jane. Yeah, well, they actually get the most to do out in the Death Zone, because like you say, they've got all that side with
now, there was that weird thing that looks like it kills everything that I've never seen before.
That is the best, where it jumps up and disappears. And it's so simple. It's like your standard GIMP suit, and that's it.
The silver face. Yeah. Because I even said, I was like, I don't think I've seen that before. And he was like, I don't think you would have. I was like, no, this is so...
That sequence, and as a child, obviously that sequence with the thing killing all the Cybermen, that was the coolest bit. And when I was lending this to Ross and Luke, they were like, "Oh wow, that's the coolest bit." And the Cyberman's being sick, and Luke was like, "Oh
yeah." That whole scene was really cool, and it fit very well with the Third Doctor.
Well, it's funny because the Third Doctor never met the Cybermen.
I thought it was an android to begin with, and then we see the Cybermen. But yeah, as in I thought that thing was an android, part android. So.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be. It just detects sort of movement and stuff, doesn't it? But it's so effective, just to jump up and disappear and then come back, and it just shoots out. Cheap
Things
as well.
that did make me laugh, though, they get into the cave entrance and they just so happen to have the exact equipment hanging up. That was quite handy.
I know. And I'd like to say that abseiling bit is just absolutely ridiculous. But you don't think about that as a child. You don't think about that. You just think, oh, of course they're doing that. And Sarah Jane is...
He was a Venture Doctor. Third Doctor's a Venture Doctor.
Yeah. And now the Fourth Doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor!
Yes.
Shh! Hurry!
Coming!
Who has no appearance.
Well, you see, so obviously it's the bit from Sharda, the Cambridge one. But,
which, I mean, if I hadn't seen Sharda, I wouldn't have known.
Well, that's the thing, because at the time, because Sharda wasn't on, no one would have seen that, so it wouldn't have mattered. It's not like... We only know that because we've watched the new DVD of Sharda, but it wasn't on at the time, so... Perfect, quite lucky actually. I don't know what they would have done if not, but it's nice to have him included. And obviously, are you disappointed that he's not there?
Yeah, I think it's really shitty.
But do you yes, it's very annoying. It'd be great to have them there, but you know how when it's only been a couple of years, and he ended up, all those arguments with Lalla Ward and all of the sort of ego on set and everything. Imagine if he was there with the Third Doctor with John Pertwee with his ego and everyone. I think that just
sums him up, actually. I think that's a summary, because you don't do an anniversary. Look, right, if you're being asked to go back to play the character, of course you have things, but you know what you're going into. You know that it's just for an anniversary episode. It's a one-off thing. It's like Children in Need, do you know what I mean? You know that the whole point of Children in Need is going to be lots of people that are doing these little skits and stuff like that, and you're part of it, right? It's kind of the same idea. And I just think, if your ego is that bad that you can't, look beyond what it is that is being created, it's not like they're trying to make a new show. It's not like they're trying to bring that character back in. And it's literally a one-off skit.
I know,
and I just think it says a lot more about him than it does anything else.
But if you think about it in the way that he's done it for 7 years, he's obviously majorly typecast now, and he wants to, and it probably didn't end the best way that he wanted to. And he's off trying to do other stuff. And I mean, he did say yes a couple of times. He was yes, and then suddenly he was like no. So he didn't say no straight away, but I don't know if he ever intended to be part of it.
I think from what I heard, because I read a few things after, and I could be wrong, but I didn't read loads, but I read a few things. He wanted more of a role. He wanted to have more to do than the others.
Well, I think, there's two things there. So he's walked away from being the Doctor. It's only been a couple of years. Maybe he just wants complete distance. He doesn't want to come back so soon. I can understand that.
It's not the second Doctor in the 10th anniversary.
Yeah, no, but I suppose. But he wasn't. I don't know, maybe he just wants a complete, and this is where Tom Baker doesn't really, he does the odd conventions and things, but he's like, I'm the Doctor. And even like, I think it might have been around the 20th anniversary, around this time, it's a big convention in Chicago, all the American fans, and you've got all of the doctors, living doctors there, and and they're all up on the stage, and all the fans want to take photos and stuff, and Tom Baker gets up and he walks the complete opposite side of the stage so people can't take a photo of them all together. He distanced himself from them, or he would go up and do a talk and then the other doctors would. I mean, and that's always been even the 50th anniversary. There is a picture there's him, like Matt Smith, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, like all the living ones there, and there's a photo they tried to get them all together, and sort of Matt Smith's there, and then Tom Baker's sort of in the portrait, he's sort of looking off to the side, sort of thing.
Of course he is.
He's always distanced himself. He's always been a bit like that. Even now, he's just, I don't know, it's just how... I could sort of understand it in a way that, because it was his life. But...
Yeah, but... I don't know. I kind of think, like... It's different, I feel, for the first Doctor. Because you enter into a show, right? And you don't know what it's going to become. By the time he's in it, you're in a franchise, right? This has been going... You are not the soul. You are part of a machine that is... And even at this... I mean, at this point now, he was in it for, like, past 10 years. Like, it's been going a long time. No one should go into anything and think, like, I'm the biggest element of this. I don't think anyone does. And I just think that's really sad. So in my head, I'm like, it's a shame because... Actually, the only people you're letting down are the fans that enjoy the show and go and see you at things. That's the only people you're really letting down. Because it's not about that whole story is not for someone new to Doctor Who. It's about people that know the show. That's what it's about. And so they're the only people you're really letting down, that you can't let your own ego and status get in the way. I don't know. It's a shame that he couldn't see what it was, which was a skit.
Maybe he might regret it now, because like for him to be on with the third and second Doctor, to be on, in the scene with them, that would have been really amazing and cool.
Of course,
but it was written with Tom Baker in it when he said he was going to be in it, and he would have been actually taken a lot of the he would have gone back to Gallifrey. He was the one, instead of the fifth Doctor going back to confront Barusa and stuff, so he would have done all the Gallifrey stuff. I don't know what the fifth Doctor would have done, but I suppose you've got to keep your current Doctor.
Well, he might have been more like based on the TARDIS, because there was quite a lot of time of stuff on the TARDIS.
So it is a shame, but at least there's something there, and it would have been new footage at the time.
Great chunks of my past detaching themselves like melting icebergs.
And then we start off, obviously, with the fifth Doctor. Well, actually, I forgot to say as well, no Chameleon, obviously, after last week. Do you remember Chameleon at all?
I forgot about Chameleon, actually, already. Already forgot Chameleon.
I think they're like, right, Chameleon's just off doing something else. We can't have him in this at the moment. Let's do the biggest celebration of Clothes Watch ever, because there is a lot happening here. There's a lot.
Of clothes. Oh my gosh.
Tegan gets another outfit in 2 stories in a row already.
Oh, that outfit's terrible as well. It's awful.
That is 80s. That is the 1980s.
That is yeah. I'll give you that. That was like, and her hair doesn't look great. I don't know. There's a lot I don't like about it. There's a lot going on.
At least she's got a different outfit on. At least that's something. Turlo's still in his uniform, obviously.
Oh, bless him.
I think the worst outfit is Sarah Jane's, that pink thing.
Yeah.
I mean...
No, I think Tegan's is worse than Sarah Jane's. Every time I saw Tegan on screen, it made me angry, that outfit. She's in heels still. Why is she still in heels? She's in the middle of Snowdonia.
I don't know.
Why are they stuck her in heels still?
She's
traipsing around with the first Doctor, like, in heels, in little... Honestly, I don't get it. That's the worst outfit.
No, I think that Sarah Jane one isn't even. It's not 80s, is it? I don't know what it is, but it doesn't suit her.
I don't know what it is. It doesn't suit her, no.
It's odd. I mean, actually, Susan gets the most practical because she's got boots.
Yeah, Susan's got a good outfit.
Boots and a skirt and a nice warm jumper. I mean, obviously the Doctor's.
That's the other thing as well. Sorry, but it looks really cold out there, and there's a lot of Sarah Jane outside. And we all said, like, when we were watching it, I was like, they must be free. I was like, she must be so cold in that outfit. And Tegan's outfit as well, because she's in those bloody heels and that little dress. I was just like, they must be so cold out there.
Yeah.
Because it looks cold. It looks windy.
Oh, yeah. It looks absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
And that little, like, see-through Mac that she's got on isn't going to help.
Yeah. It's not doing all.
Well, actually, okay. So other companions, though, it's a shame. Is there anyone there that you would have wanted to see? Who was like the person that you saw? You're like, oh, that's great. Or
Liz Shaw was great to see.
yeah, I would have loved to have seen her do a bit more. Actually,
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that whole interaction where it was like the Brigadiers, because we've obviously been later.
well, it's his retirement.
His
thing.
retirement. So
Well,
bear in
actually-
mind, he retires and then he goes after retirement to go and work at the school, doesn't
yeah.
he? Because he says like, "Oh well, I've retired and I've been doing this." So we've seen him later. So it was quite nice to see him at this point, and then the Doctor come in like.
Yeah, he's the
But
moustache.
it's funny because I very much associate the Brigadier with the Third Doctor.
Well, you see, this is the problem. I mean, we did have the Brigadier with in two. He was in the underground one with the Yeti and the Cyberman one, so he did meet the Second Doctor quite a few times. But this is the problem with Tom Baker, because if Tom Baker was in it, he would have had Sarah Jane. Then the Brigadier then would have been with the Third Doctor, so they had to shuffle it all around depending on who was around. So luckily, there was enough people to match up with your sort of doctors that knew each other. Because I don't know what they would have done otherwise. But no, the plan was that Sarah Jane would have been with the Fourth Doctor.
Because the Master never met the Second Doctor, did he?
No.
But the Second Doctor has a conversation with the Master.
Not really, no, because it's the Third Doctor and Sarah Jane and Bessie.
It's not. It's the second one, I'm sure.
No, so you've got, so the Master.
With the Brig.
The Brigadier knows the Master, obviously.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's the Second Doctor with the Brigadier, and they have that conversation with the Master, don't they?
No. The First Doctor and Tegan at the chessboard.
Oh, it's the First Doctor. You're right. Yeah. The First Doctor definitely. I mean, it's hinted that he knows the Master before, but like,
yeah, I'm sure they do. Yeah, it's funny though. Yeah, seeing like the First Doctor and the Cybermen and the Master and Tegan all in this. It's like it's this sort of mishmash of different things, but it's so cool. It's just great to see everyone just. And as you say, the storyline. What a perfect way to get everyone together, taken out of their things and plopped into this thing, and they've all got a bit of a quest. We love a bit of a quest to get to the tomb.
it didn't get boring. I did the whole 90 minutes. It wasn't boring.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it so many times. And actually, I've just remembered as well. So this was like, obviously the coolest thing to watch. So when I got the 95 version, there was a few updated special effects. I mean, CGI for 95. I mean, you've watched the newer one that's even better. But there was like a few cool, like the triangle again was CGI different. And the chessboard things were like sort of lightning things. And it was the coolest thing. Oh my God, and I just had a memory of watching the cool, because it was like the first Doctor Who with like new CGI, so it's like, wow, this is cool. I think my brother had his friends round,
Right.
maybe from like Scouts. They were doing something, like they were like older, and I was watching this, and then I remember one of his friends was like, "Oh, you're watching Doctor Who?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I love this," and he sat and watched this with me. I made him watch this with me. I don't know what they were supposed to do, and then his mates were all like somewhere else doing something else, but I remember one of his mates were like, "I love this is really cool," and watched it. And I remember watching the
For a
chess
brief
scene
period
bit.
of time, you were the cool little
It was
brother.
cool. Yeah, it was cool. And obviously, this was the one that I wanted to lend out to people because it had all the Doctors in it, and it had,
Of course, which got you in trouble.
But like you say, though, you have to sort of know Doctor Who, really.
You do, yeah.
But you have watched 20 years worth of Doctor Who.
Gosh,
So
yeah, I have.
You get all of the who everybody is. And
I know,
was there anyone you saw
terrifying.
and you weren't sure who they were? Or
No. Like, maybe Susan, but only because she's older. It wasn't because also whereas like Sarah Jane, you see her at the house first. You see the other companions with, we had the Brigadier and the Second Doctor meet. Whereas Susan's just suddenly there with the First Doctor, and she goes, "Grandfather," and I was like, "Okay," but I was like, "Who's that?" And then she says, "Oh, Grandfather, I thought you'd be here," and I was like, "Oh, it's Susan."
yeah.
But like again, it was a split thing of like, because there was no context before it.
I mean, it's a shame she doesn't know. She and Turlo are just stuck in the TARDIS and don't do anything. Like Turlo is like nothing.
Turlo and Tegan, I mean, but again, it's not a story in that sense. It's not about any of the companions. It's just nice having them there and them being involved. It's way more about having the Doctors there. It's like, it's a comic relief special.
Well, yeah, but it's still I mean, it's made It was shown
Of
on.
course it is. It's made for the anniversary.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I noticed today on something, maybe it was Twitter, our Twitter, that apparently David Tennant's doing something on BBC 4 for the 60th.
I think there's like an interview or something. Yeah, I think there's stuff going on. But I mean, this is where it sort of comes into every anniversary. You know, every big number, all the Doctors meet. This is, it's the second time it's happened. I mean, and it is. I mean, you say the 5 Doctors. It is actually there's only actually 3 Doctors actually in it, the real Doctors.
Well, I'd say 4. I'd say there's 4 Doctors.
Well, three are fake.
But you can't have if someone's died. That's a bit
Yeah,
different.
I know.
There's a difference between the guy's dead and the guy doesn't want to be in it.
So okay, the Master. Great thing that he has to come and rescue the Doctor.
Yeah, great little side thing. Great to have in.
And we're back on Gallifrey again, and we saw it last season. It's the same guy, the Castellan guy, the one that has the mind probe thing. He was in Arc of Infinity, the Amsterdam one. He's the same actor. And President Baruso we've seen a couple of times, but he's played by a different person. So when it's revealed as Baruso, are you like, what's going on?
Yeah, that was a surprise. I mean, something's going on. I don't know. For me, the story's just a story. It's good enough, but it's not about the story. I can't comment too much about it because it's just a nice, easy follow.
It's not really to be overanalyzed. For example, that chessboard thing where the Master walks across in a way, gets the Cybermen, then as easy as pie and the mathematical thing, and then the Doctor walks over in completely different. There's no actual pattern or squares you've got to step on. It's just all talk. And for some reason, I don't know the square root of pi or whatever it's supposed to be. It's all a bit gobbledygook, but
Yeah.
but no, I suppose it doesn't really matter. It is just seeing everyone together. I always thought that this was Turlough's first story, though, because at the very beginning, he's already outside the TARDIS just sketching.
That was a nice start because it does tie into what they said at the end of the last thing, which was we're going to go to
Eye of Orion, which is there, which in rural Wales, where you lost your purse.
Rural Wales, yeah.
Your purse could have been on a bus nearby. But yeah, I always thought that was his first, because I always thought he was there, just random guy sketching, and then he just
brought it
because I hadn't seen any of the other ones, because this was probably the first time I'd seen a lot of these characters, because it was one of the earlier videos, so I hadn't seen any other stories. So it was like I wouldn't have seen Tegan and Turlough before. So I just thought he was sketching guy in the background that just got whisked off to the and just suddenly knew what was going on.
Aww.
Yeah, and then it all wraps up with Barusa and actually with Rassilon and the face. I think those faces in the statue at the end.
They're really good. There's a lot of good effects in this, and you can tell that some money has been spent on doing this in some way. All the effects are great. I watched an updated version, but I agree. The faces in there look good. The costumes look good. The Daleks had an upgrade.
Well, I can't remember maybe they've had a bit of the late.
Well, he's all squiggly and at the end, and the movie that was cool. We had this new other thing that is silver and shoots things and kills all the Cybermen. The Cybermen look like Cybermen, but they always look like that, I think this was this is a strong version of the Cybermen compared to some other previous iterations we've had.
It's the same lot that we've had a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them. It makes a difference when there's tons of them, and actually they stand out because it's so grey and dreary in those valleys.
It's so green. It's just a lot of green and then these big silver metal things. Yeah, they look great.
And I love all the slate.
They were warm.
Yeah, probably. I love all the slate and stuff. It's a great background. It's a great location for that because it's supposed to be this death zone, this nowhere place. It does. With Bessie, obviously, I don't know how Bessie suddenly gets transported in the death zone. Again, one of these. Just don't ask questions.
Yeah, but sometimes this is definitely one where you don't ask questions and don't question it too much.
That's probably why I've watched it the most, because it's just so easy just to watch. And if you're like, which Doctor shall I watch? Oh, I could just watch 5 Doctors and get all of them in one. So does it work as a celebration of 20 years? Do you think it does it justice?
I think so. Yeah. You get all the things you want as a fan. You get Gallifrey and the Time Lords. You get lots of Doctors. You get a return of monsters that you know and some that you don't know. The things that are talked about like we've talked about Rassilon before. Am I saying Rassilon?
Yeah, definitely.
So like they're all. This is for the fans. This is for. I've been watching this show, and I think even if like you hadn't watched it in years, right? Maybe you've not watched the show for like 5 years, so you don't know. But there's enough in there that you're like, I know. Oh yeah, I remember that when I used to watch it. This is for, it's great. It's fun. That's it, isn't
Yeah,
it?
there's not. Yeah, I mean, I thought there might be some. I haven't really got. I mean, I just know it. As I say, I just know it so well. I'm just.
What's your favourite bit?
Oh, I see that. I mean, I've always used to like that side, but when the Cybermen were being killed with the robot,
Yeah.
that's cool. I like when all the Doctors meet together because they're separate for quite a lot of it.
Yeah,
It's only at the end where they're all together. After watching it as a child for a long time and thinking it's really cool, and then I think once I got a little bit older, you start watching it being like, oh, actually, the first Doctor's an impersonator, and Tom Baker's not in it. That's a bit disappointing. And then you sort of go through that phase, but then I'm sort of back into just enjoying it for what it is. You can't do all those sort of what ifs because, I mean, yeah, who knows what it would have been like if Tom Baker was in it.
See, I loved them working out. Like, I agree. When it was all of them together and they were trying to work it out and they're reading all the different parts, and then they talked to like the head of Rassilon and they're like, no. Yeah, I loved all that. I liked the interaction of like the old and the new.
And
that was all great.
And the second and third Doctor are sort of bickering like they were in the three Doctors. They get it. And actually you get... And you're having the Brigadier knock out Newmaster as well, which is nice because he's like, nice to see you again.
Like there was a lot of fun when everyone was together in that bit towards the end.
Yeah,
that was the most fun.
And then like Tegan and Sarah Jane being like, oh, well, which one's yours? Which one? That kind of thing. It would have been nice to have a little bit more of that chat once they all get together. I think maybe. I felt it was enough because it's not. You don't want it too gimmicky. There has to be a story, and the whole point of the story is them working out why they're there. No, I thought it was all good. Actually, we cannot. I can't believe we missed this bit out. The best bit, obviously, is the cocktail party in the TARDIS.
And he eats a pineapple.
Yeah. Well, so Tegan and Della are off to get like. Oh no, he doesn't say tea, does he? He just says refreshments. But they seem to come back with fruit platters, cocktails, curly straws, and all that stuff. And they're in a green liquid. We've never seen them sit down and have this like 80s Club Tropicana.
And then he's eating some pineapple.
Yeah, and he probably like munches that pineapple into the camera.
So weird.
That is my favourite bit.
That's your favourite bit. Okay.
That is it. I mean, I cannot see William Hartnell actually ever doing that.
Maybe that's part of the fun of it, though.
Like, of all the things, that is my favourite. The cocktail party and the pineapple. Legendary. Okay, well, that is the end of season 20.
Yeah, gosh. Doska's next, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I didn't even talk about my week, Mark. I didn't even
I know. Wow.
It's up to you. What's your week been like? I mean, mine's been weird, but yours
I haven't really had, I've just been busy. I haven't had time to watch anything. That's why I was like, well, at least it's 5 Doctors. I don't have to watch it this week.
So we're recording and it's Friday.
Yeah.
I watched this on Monday.
Right. I mean, yeah.
So it was a while ago.
But it is a memorable one. So at least that's...
It is, yeah. When you start to... Initially, when I was about to start recording, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't remember this very well. And then when we started, I'm like, no, I do remember this. Like... because it's easy and it's fun. But basically, listeners, yesterday I helped my neighbour's cat give birth very surprisingly and unpredictably. And I was telling Mark all about it before we started recording, and it was all a bit crazy and nuts because it wasn't on my to-do list for the day, let's put it that way. She didn't know the cat was pregnant. It was a whole thing.
The thing that made me laugh is when you messaged and it said, you were like, I've got a message from my neighbour saying, I think the cat's giving birth outside your front door. Of all the places.
Yeah. So it was a lot.
So that's why there's probably not an in-depth analysis of the 5 Doctors, but it doesn't need it.
On to the Doskers.
Well, on to the Doskers and on to the next season. Is there anything you want to see in the next season?
I'm just trying to think.
I've got to say as well, new TARDIS console.
Oh,
It's a new. It's been upgraded. It's all different. It's a new version.
Was that in this upgraded?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't spot that.
Well, because he's cleaning it at the beginning, and they sort of mention it.
Maybe they did. Like,
Okay.
I did notice him cleaning it, but I don't remember.
I mean, you spent like a whole season not seeing the celery, so we will look out for the new console next season.
Yeah, I'll focus on that next time. I'm trying to think. What would I like in the next season? I'm still intrigued with Turlo being there.
Because he still hasn't had a chance, has he? Since
I mean, this episode doesn't count in my mind for Tegan or Turlo. Like, you can't do a breakdown of the characters in the same way for this. And the one before that was more about Chameleon. So again, like, I'm more intrigued about, does Turlo fit? Does he ever get out of his school uniform? That sort of stuff.
okay,
Or do they go to his home planet at any point?
I want more Chameleon.
You want more Chameleon?
I wish Because you could have had him
Chameleon.
just propped up in the background of this, just saying hello, how Chameleon, how you doing? Oh yeah, I'm just helping clean the TARDIS. Okay, well we're
I
off.
would have liked K9 to have been with them.
I know, but imagine him going over all those rocks and slates and stuff.
We'd have been in the TARDIS, surely. He'd have stayed behind in the TARDIS.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah,
But they don't. Actually, no, he couldn't because he was with Sarah Jane, and they don't go to the TARDIS at all, really, until the very end. So no, yeah.
He could have done his had a rope coming out and helped her up instead of the third Doctor.
But he was with her, so I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Oh my god, you don't even need a car to help her up. He could have just
No, she
got
can
a
literally
rope
just get up and
and
walk.
just put. But he's like, hang on a second, I've got to lasso this rock. And
And she's just being dragged a lot. Oh, it's so fucking weird. So weird.
We'll remember that for the Oscars' worst moment.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay, well, we will see you soon for the Oscars then.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Doctor Who 20 years ago.
40 years ago.
40 years ago. Oh my god, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where can you find us, Mark?
Okay, that's the end. You can find us at To Watch Who on Instagram and X and Twitter at To Watch Who. I said that already. And you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/To Watch Who. And thank you very much for
to our
listening.
members.
You might have been scrolling through all those Doctor Who podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and you chose us to listen to. Yay! Thank you. See ya.
And you got to the end where we
Yeah,
said
and you
thanks,
got to
so
the
even
end.
better.
Okay, see you next time.
Watch who? Hey, Doctor Who? What are you talking about?